Hey everybody! So today you are starting your lesson on solving quadratic equations by completing the square. And on day 1, I have you doing numbers 1 through 8. So I'm going to show you 3 different examples. Number 1, number 4, and number 7. So number 1, 2, and 3 are the same. So I'm going to complete number 1 with you. Number 4, 5, and 6 will be worked out the same. So I'm going to do one of those, which is number 4. And then 7 and 8 are done the same. So I'm going to do number 7 for you so that you can do number 8. So I'm going to do 3 of the 8 for you and leave you with 5. Hopefully this will help you out. So the first one is x squared plus 4x minus 12. Now, one thing that you need to know is that you can solve any quadratic equation using completing the square method. It will work with any quadratic equation that is factorable. So that's first things first. It'll work for any. Now, the goal for completing the square is to get a perfect square. And by now, you should know what a perfect square is. It's a binomial, like for instance, let me show you on this piece of paper. If you don't know what a perfect square is by now, it's like x plus, we'll just say 2 squared. That's a perfect square. That's the goal. We want to get to this point. That equals something. That's what a perfect square is. Okay? So here, the first thing you need to do is I need to add this 12, I need to move this negative 12 by adding 12 over to the right side and get only my 2 terms, x squared and x by itself. So I'm going to do x squared plus 4x, and I'm going to leave a space, equals 12. And the reason why I'm leaving a space is because I'm going to create myself a new c, okay? What I'm going to do here is this is where I want to get a perfect square. I cannot get a perfect square out of 4 and 12. It's just not going to happen. So the way I'm going to get a perfect square is I'm going to take my b, I'm going to take positive 4. I'm going to divide it by 2 and square it. So you take b, divide by 2, and square. Okay? So positive 4 divided by 2 is positive 2. Positive 2 squared is 4. Positive 4. Let me do that on another page here. Well, I can do it to the side. Let me write over here to the side for you. So b equals positive 4. Okay? So you're going to do b divided by 2 squared, which would be 4 divided by 2 squared, which is 2 squared, which is 4. Okay? So then I'm going to come over here, and whatever I do to the left side, I've got to also do to the right side. Add 4 to both sides. That 4 comes from the b divided by 2 squared. So let's rewrite this. X squared plus 4x plus 4 equals 12 plus 4 is 16. Now I can factor this trinomial to be a perfect square. And I'm not going to go through all the steps on how to factor that out because by now you should be able to factor out without having to do all the steps or need my assistance. So once you factor this out, you should get that the perfect square for x squared plus 4x plus 4 is x plus 2 squared. If you didn't get that, you need to go back and see where you went wrong, but you should get x plus 2 squared. Once you get to this point, you just need to solve this for x. In order to solve for x, you need to take the square root of both sides. When I take the square root of x plus 2 squared, it leaves me with just x plus 2. That's an 8th grade standard. You should know that the square root of anything squared just leaves you with whatever is under the radical. So x plus 2 equals positive negative 4. The square root of 16 is positive negative 4. It's not just positive 4, it's also negative 4, because what's a negative times a negative? It's a positive. Negative 4 times negative 4 is positive 16. Positive 4 times positive 4 is positive 16. So anytime you take the radical of, or the square root of a number, it's positive negative. It's positive negative, that number. So now I'm going to subtract 2 from both sides. And x is going to equal negative 2 plus or minus 4. So x equals negative 2 plus 4. X equals negative 2 minus 4. Negative 2 plus 4 is positive 2. Negative 2 minus 4 is negative 6. So x equals 2, x equals negative 6. Okay, so now we're going to move down to number 4. Number 4 already has it set up to where you can do a perfect square. You don't have to move anything with number 4. Obviously, if you got to this problem and you subtracted 7 to both sides, you would see that you couldn't get a perfect square. So you would leave it just like this. X squared plus 6x, I'm going to leave a space, equals 7. Let's come over here to the left. My b is 6, positive 6. So in order to find my perfect square, I'm going to take b, divide by 2, and square it, which is 6 divided by 2 squared, which is 3 squared, which is 9. So I'm going to come back over here. I'm going to add 9. I'm going to add 9. So my new quad is x squared plus 6x plus 9, and then 7 plus 9, which is 16. Now you have a trinomial that you can factor out to be a perfect square. When I factor out x squared plus 6x plus 9, you should get x plus 3 squared equals 16. I'm going to take the square root of x plus 3 squared and the square root of 16, and that leaves me with x plus 3 equals plus or minus 4. Subtract 3 from both sides. So x equals negative 3 plus or minus 4. So x equals negative 3 plus 4. X equals negative 3 minus 4. Negative 3 plus 4 will give you positive 1. Negative 3 minus 4 will give you negative 7. So my two answers are 1 and negative 7. Okay. Last one is number 7. Number 7. First things first, you should recognize that this trinomial will not give you a perfect square. So because it won't give me a perfect square, and you can try it if you want. You can try and you'll see that you're not going to get a perfect square. X squared minus 14x, I'm going to leave a space, equals 6 minus 30. 6 minus 30 is negative 24. Okay, so now I'm going to, let me come over here and do it. B equals negative 14. You've got to pay attention to your operations. This is negative 14. Negative 14 is B. So B divided by 2 squared is 14 divided by 2 squared. That would be 7 squared, which is 49. So now my C is positive 49. C is now 49. My B is negative 14. When I factored this, you should get x minus 7 squared equals, I forgot something. Remember, whatever you add to the left, you have to add to the right. Forgot to do that. Make sure you don't forget it or you'll make an uh-oh like me. But thankfully I caught it. Okay, negative 24 plus 49 is 25. So now I'm going to take the square root of x minus 7 squared, the square root of 25. When I do that, that leaves me with x minus 7 equals positive negative 5. I'm going to add 7 to both sides. So x equals 7 plus or minus 5. So x equals 7 plus 5. X equals 7 minus 5. Seven plus 5 is 12. 7 minus 5 is 2. So my two answers are 12 and 2. So these are the steps I'm following completing the square. I went kind of fast on this one. If y'all need to go back and watch the video again or have the sub pause it, have them pause it for you. And if you have any questions, you can always send me a remind question. Send me on the Remind app. Or you can email me. If you do not have my email address, you need to get it. The office has it. Everybody has it. Every teacher has my email address. This is one of the lessons that most students struggle with. So if you're struggling with it, send me a message. I'll help you. Bye, y'all.